That would be great if the things.
Thanks.
Hello.
That was very
I'm
ladylike
Thomas.
of me.
You talking
And
over
this
my
is
intro for real?
AANP, the Knoxville Area Artist Networking Platform. And here we
I'm
talk
keeping
to
it,
artists
just so you know.
about themselves, the art they make, and where they make it, kind of. So, yeah, stick around. Give us a listen. Enjoy the show.
All right, so today we are here with Shelley Mear. How are you, Shelley?
Pretty good.
Pretty good?
Pretty smiley, I guess.
Well, that's a plus.
It is.
So you do artsy things, right?
Artsy fartsy things, yes.
You're one of thems?
I'm one of them.
Ooh.
You know,
So what kind of artsy fartsy things do you do?
I mainly just work with like ink or water-based ink. I kind of just jumped into that. I started with charcoal and graphite because I thought, oh, this looks easy. I'm going to do it. No, it turns out it's not. And so I gradually, slowly worked my way into ink, and now that's all I use, and I love it.
Is pens or with a brush or
Micron, just little pens, little dots. Like I said, the water-based ink pens. Those are fun.
do you have a specific workflow or mindset you like to participate in?
Yeah. As of recent, I've been drawing a lot. It's just, I have to put it in my head. And, well, you've seen my drawings on Instagram. I just draw what I feel. So it's just like one of those moments where I'm like, I have to do it and
You just
shut everybody off.
get an image in your head that just must come out of your fingertips.
And it's like throughout the day, I'm like, I know what I'm going to do. I know what I'm going to draw. I know what I'm going to do.
So do you have that moment when you're just like bebopping around your professional life when you're just like, that's the thing that I'm going to draw when I get home?
Yes. And it's weird because I actually have to write it in my notes on my phone to make sure that,
You don't forget.
yes, because then I will forget.
So is it a bad day when you forget?
It
Or does
is.
it hinder your day in some way?
It hinders it, and it makes the process slower, I guess, because then I'm having to
Like
go home.
what did I think about earlier today?
I have to go home and, do the adult thing and all that. And then now you have time to think and you don't remember shit. So now you're just sitting there for 2 hours and then you're up till 2 in the morning drawing because you finally got it at like 10 o'clock. You're like, that was it.
It's like, yeah, you're sitting there at your desk, which, by the way, is eerily similar to mine. I'm pretty sure we have the exact same model of art desk, which is awesome.
Nice.
Yeah,
I love that
small
thing.
world with the angled top. You can go up and yeah, it's pretty slick.
I'm scared to like angle it back down.
You just got to pick it all the way back
Oh
up.
no, I know that, but I like the easier way would just kind of be like, just push
Oh,
it.
yeah.
But I also don't want to pinch my fingers.
There's a finesse there.
It is. I'm still getting used to that.
I don't use it as much as I should to like angle it up, to have a more natural quote unquote drawing position.
I have it slightly angled.
I think it has like four
Yeah.
positions.
I think I stick to the number two. The number two position.
The
is my
number two
favorite.
position.
The number two position is the best.
I should have paid attention to the instructional booklet if this was in there or not. I don't know, but what angles the different points are. I don't think that was in there, but even if I thought it was, there's no way I could look it up now.
No. I think once you developed what you made yourself is just what you're going to do.
Yeah, I think so. And dare I try to dig through the bowels of the internet for that instructional booklet again, because I don't care enough. I'm just going to be honest. I don't care enough to look through the internet to find that PDF. I just don't.
The interwebs, yeah. No.
The depths and the bowels of the interwebs.
And then when you find the PDF, it's 400 pages long.
But you have a feeling of success.
Yes. Like I found it. But
Now do I actually spend the energy to read it and
Let me go
satisfy
through-
my curiosity?
let me scroll through the 10 pages of table of contents to see where I need to be.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So the subject matter that usually comes out of your fingertips, I've noticed, is generally people that may or may not look like you in some way.
I always say I try to make them to look like me, and then in no way possible do they look like me.
Well, I think you've nailed your haircuts a few times,
Yes.
but the eyes are generally way bigger in proportion.
Yeah. No, and I like that though.
It is very aesthetically pleasing,
It
but it's
is.
also really humorous to me to see this rather normally proportioned human being
Hey.
and then giant eyeballs. It's almost like the art style that comes out of you is almost the art style that Coraline and maybe some of Tim Burton's looks
Yeah,
kind
and
of
I've
get.
heard that a lot, and that's actually changed. If you've noticed, like the changes that I've been going with it, it has been more Tim Burton-y because last few drawings that I've done for people on Instagram that they asked, or even just people from back home, they're like, "You have a very like Tim Burton-y style," and I just took it and it's like me and ran with it. So
I've noticed that your particular style, as of late, has went from a more sketchy, like you know, how do I say this? Went from a more sketchy point of view to a more solid idea of what you're trying to put out. So instead of I'm gonna sketch this person, blah blah blah, quick, see how it falls out of me, and then like, you seem more concrete on the ideas you wish to put on a paper.
Definitely. And I went scrolling back through some of my art, or even flipping through my art books, and I was telling Colby, I'm like, you see these? They're very like stiff and like perfectly angled, and I don't know what I was trying to do here. And then I look at my drawings now, and they're just completely different, more detailed, not as much, but I feel like I'm growing in it, and I'm really liking where it's going.
Well, good.
So, yeah.
I'd say the familiarity with an art style, whether it be something you're trying to work with that is outside of your personal flavor of art style, and the one that you develop that you are personally looking for, the familiarity with both of those, you can always see it on the page.
Yeah.
Like when someone is comfortable with the things that come out of their fingertips and they're practiced in it, it's easy to see.
Definitely. And as long as I've been drawing and doing art, that's when I really started, is when Ben's group was there, is when I actually like committed to something, and then I just was like, I'm going to do so good, and I'm going to do this and this, and then I thought, no, I'm going to do photography because I can do that too. And no, I did some photography. I'm very proud of some pictures, not a lot, and just took a break, and all of a sudden I just went back to drawing, and as of recent, the last month and a half, I just discovered, honestly, what I like, what I enjoy, and how I want to do it. And it took me 3 years to get to that point.
Oh, so you're just now settling into your
like,
headspace and workflow and
yeah.
style and all that good stuff that makes
Yeah.
you the artist that you are.
And it doesn't bother me. I feel like you're never, and I can still grow from that. Like right now, I can be like, this is where I'm at. This is what I've been wanting, but
there's
know,
always
it's
a
always
next
gonna be
thing.
more, yeah. But right now, this is exactly where I want to be, and this is what I like right now.
So you're comfortable in what you're doing at the moment?
Yes.
Is that like a 10 out of 10 comfortable?
7 out of 10.
7 out of 10 comfortable.
I have a few more drawings to see if I can.
Now, are these drawings you're using to challenge yourself and your style? Okay.
Yes.
So let's back up for a second. So when did you first put a pencil on paper for artistic, expressive pleasure?
For whatever reason.
Yeah, for whatever reason. Like, how old were you? What'd you do? Those kind of things.
So, like in 6th grade, I don't know if you remember those little figurines that were called homies or cholos.
From the quarter machines?
Yeah, like
yes.
the stickers. That's when I actually started drawing, and I was like, oh, I can draw these. So here I am drawing these skinny Hispanic Latina chicks and their flared jeans and their big tits, and I'm like, I can draw.
13-year-old you, just
Yeah.
like in your school notebook.
I got my homies with me, literally. got my cholas.
Did you ever get the actual little figurines? Did you carry those with you too?
I had them put up on my like shelf drawer
In your room,
and that's just where they stayed. And there's my little homies. I don't even know where they are at, but that's.
I hope that you still have at least one of them somewhere.
Now I have to look for them. But that was when I actually really started, and I saw that I'm like, oh, I can draw. My dad is an extremely good drawer. I'm not going to be like, oh, he's an artiste, pinkies out. No, but he's a really good drawer as a hobby. So is my older brother. And
So in some degree it runs in the family.
yeah. And I was like, I got this.
Let me see what I can do.
And then it just kind of fell from there. Got into high school, and I'm like, fuck drawing. Had other things to do. I did take art classes, though, so that was fun. But it was nothing really crazy.
So you kind of set it down in high school, and then what?
It just never came back, honestly, until I moved here. Is when I actually started to pick up a pencil and actually draw something.
Was the change of scenery the catalyst, or was there something else?
No, very change of scenery. Living back in my hometown in Illinois, it was completely different atmosphere, world, very hometown. Everybody knows when you're going to take a shit next type of deal. So you just...
Okay, so how many kids were in your graduating class?
I can't even remember.
Was it under 100?
No. I know the town of Rochelle, when I left, was at least 11,000 people.
Okay, so there were 85 people in my graduating class, just to,
Nice.
just to give you some scale.
No,
Yeah.
there was more than that. There were more than that. Yeah, it's just completely different there. And I hung out with my brother, and, you know, we all had the same group of friends around the same age, and we were just in different worlds. And I had a baby at like 19, so my only art was
crafting this child.
crafting a baby and changing shitty diapers. So
That can be done with finesse and artfully.
You can't just, you wipe this way, and then you fold in half and go this way. There is an art, actually. Don't want to get into that, but there is an art. We came to Tennessee, still didn't know anybody. We moved here in 2014. And it was tough, actually. Like, I was just kind of here by myself. Colby had his family here. I didn't have anybody here.
Yeah, so you were just here.
I'm just like, hey, what's up? I ended up posting a robot drawing on Twitter and hashtagged it, you know, Knoxville, whatever. And Ben actually reached out to me like 2 days later, honestly, in an email. And he's like, hey, I liked your robot. He showed me some of his.
Here's the robots I've drawn.
So, yeah, he shows me his robots, and I'm like, all right.
Some professional illustrator just complimented me.
Mine's a stick figure, but okay, compared to yours. He invited me to, you know, his figure drawing classes. I was hesitant at first because I was nervous. Didn't know anybody still. And this was like 2 years in. I'm still just like... So finally I went, and I remember opening the door to Ben's studio, and there was just a completely naked chick.
15 people and one naked person, like.
Yeah, and I was late, so the sessions had already started.
And everybody looked at you when you walked in the door.
So I'm sitting, you know, I just walk in, and I'm just like, that chick's naked.
Yeah.
It was different for me. Like I said, I grew up in the cornfields, football playing, you know.
Yeah.
If you're not a Belmonte or nothing in a sport type of thing, you know, sports politics. I mean, I live now in Seymour, which is Rochelle. So it's like, it's just one place to another. But no, I walk in there, had no materials, had nothing. I had to borrow everything from Ben. And from there,
Which I'm sure he was happy to give to you. Cause,
oh yeah,
because he's happy to share whatever.
he is. Him is sweet. Him is ridiculous.
Yeah, that too.
And so I really liked it that first time around. And so after that, I just kept going every Wednesday. And then I tried to really commit to it. And I did. And at one point, I was like, hey, photographers come in here. Let's do photography. I have a camera.
Yeah.
Tried that, like I said earlier. And
Which is probably about the time that I met you taking pictures of the nude models in Ben's figure drawing sessions.
yes. When I thought I was going to fall off top of that, like, wall. I don't know
did
if
you
ever...
No, I didn't see that. Did you get on top of the partition wall?
Yeah, I, like, Ben, he's like, you're safe, you're fine. Just go on the ladder and go up here. And just, I'm like, okay.
Sure.
Shaking, holding my camera down.
Oh, my goodness.
Poor guy. Yeah, but that was actually what really brought me back into art, was going to Ben's studio. And then I ended up meeting, you know, a really cool group of people. And a few of them I still talk to every day, every once in a while. There's never a time where I'm not going to be like, hey, so-and-so, remember? Let's hang out. I'm be like, huh, fuck yeah.
Yeah, I had a very similar experience walking into my first figure drawing session, because here I am, you know, small town East Tennessee kid, never having drawn a nude model before at all, period. And, you know, I was very well aware of the context of the event, you know, what it is, what is expected, what you should do when you get there. Like, I knew what was up, but that doesn't mean I had, you know, the social awareness of those events. So, you know, here I am, I walk in there with my 8x10 sketchbook and a single number 2 pencil, like, okay, I'm going to draw people. It's like find a spot on the floor and just draw for 2 hours, you know.
Yeah.
But that was a healthy, uncomfortable experience, because it was a healthy, uncomfortable experience. You know, I'd never drawn a live nude person in front of me. Like, I'd never actually sat down and drawn another person in front of me in general most of my life. So that kind of thing was a very healthy, boundary pushing and social experiment for me. And I can imagine it was very similar for you in that way.
Very. Again, just coming here with not knowing anybody, but my 2 in-laws and my nieces and nephews, and walking into the guy's studio and just that being in front of my face. And I remember the first 2 times, the 2 Wednesdays I did, one Wednesday and then the next Wednesday, I did actually pretty good. I was like, heck yeah, I got this. I'll have to show you one of my first sketches that I did when I was
I still
there.
have some of mine too.
And
it would be fun to look back at those and talk shit.
No, but this one was so good. And then I'm seeing them throughout, like, other of my sketchbooks. I'm like, why did you suck from there? It's like, you were like, yes. And that's where the, like, charcoal and graphite came in, because that's what I started with.
Mm-hmm.
That's what Ben handed me. He's like, here's a board, here's paper, here's some charcoal and graphite. Like,
now, do your thing. Yeah, go. It's like, here are the tools.
I was like, yes. And that's how it started. And then I was just like,
Now, I don't use graphite and charcoal and those kind of things most of the time when I do the figure drawing. It's not because I don't want to. It's just I've never went out and purchased those things for my own self. Yeah. But I do feel some of the best pieces I've done in those session style scenarios have been the pieces that I've used graphite and charcoal on. Really, so I'm sitting here like, damn it, why are these pencils not doing me the same favors?
Yeah, because you can go home and try to, you know, do anything. They don't have to be nude. I can just draw my child sitting there playing the video game, and it's not going to come out nowhere as near as what I just did over there. So I'm like, what the hell is my problem?
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for the environment in that type of scenario. Like, we're all there for one purpose, to draw the model presented in front of us. Mm-hmm. And that singular focus can be very beneficial sometimes.
Yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm really glad I did it, because it actually really got me doing art seriously. I don't sell it. I don't do anything. It's really just a hobby for me. I do it almost every day, and
You draw more often than I do,
I've been posting a lot. And
especially as of late.
yeah, like I said, like the last month and a half, it's just been, I'm in my flow, so I tried drawing last night, and I almost finished it, and then I completely scratched it out. And on every picture or every drawing that I'm like sketching, I put, "Why do you suck?" And then I'm like, and then I'll put the date under it too. I'll be like, 2, 5,
On this day,
21.
I was terrible.
Why do you suck? 2, 5, 21.
I don't draw as much as I intend to, and that's nobody's fault but mine. But sometimes it's difficult because I have a myriad of mediums that I like to work in. So it's just like, oh man, I really should sit down and like channel this creative energy through my pencil or onto this piece of paper, and then I end up 3D modeling something on the computer, and I'm just like, shit, this isn't what I intended to do. Yeah.
But that's awesome though, because then you just led yourself into a different form, and
Right, and I'm not
now you have
upset
something cool.
about exercising my creative desires, but at the same time, I'm mad at myself because I didn't sit down and do the thing I told myself I was going to do.
True.
So I'm just like, well, shit. Now here I have this thing, but it's not the thing I wanted because I totally did something else. But whatever. I'm here
Dare
now.
you.
I'm here now. Yeah, how dare I?
I'm like in and out, like I said, past whatever. I've just been committed to drawing. No other reason than just relaxing and hobby, see how far I can push my limits. Colby, he actually challenges me, and I can tell him, hey, this is something I'm wanting to do. What do you think? And he'll give his opinion, and I'm like, why'd you do that one? More challenging. I was like, so now I feel like, all right.
You think he kind of like
I'm
he pokes at you a little bit just to see what
This
happens?
is your fault. I'm going to bed at 2 a.m.
You shouldn't have told me to draw that shit. If you wanted to go to sleep next to me tonight,
How dare you challenge me to be better?
gosh,
Go
what a terrible partner he is.
You. Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I really like working with ink. I guess I never knew that. I always sketch it out with pencil first, eraser. So many fixes, and then
you'll ink it.
and then I'll ink it. I spent 40 minutes on a pair of lips over the weekend.
Are you proud of yourself?
I am very proud of myself, actually.
Well, good. That's the answer I wanted to hear.
It's like, I just remember Colby being like, are you almost done? And he looks down at my desk, and it's lips.
Is it just lips?
It's just lips.
Like, how big were these lips?
Maybe an inch.
But you're trying so hard, and all of your concentration was in this 1 square inch on the paper.
Because when I post them, they might look big, but when you actually see them, they're,
Yeah,
8 by 10.
Speaking of which, I need a sense of scale in some of these pictures.
Oh my gosh.
Now, this is me giving you a hard time because you don't provide a sense of scale in some of these pictures.
I don't, because I don't know. I just buy the sketch pad and go with it. I do have an example in my car of the tank girl that I did.
Oh, hey, yeah.
Oh my god. Seriously, the notebook is as tall as my phone.
So it's like a 3 by 6.5.
Yes. And pretty much that's what it is. And I drew it on there, and I had one of my friends at work. She was like, wait, I thought that was bigger. And I go, no, that's it right there. Just a little, my tank girl. That's challenging. For me, it is.
It's like, I'm sorry you're disappointed with your expectations.
How dare you? Yeah. I tend to always fuck it up because I always go like big, and I'm like, oh.
Well, also on the flip side of this, the thing I like about having no sense of scale in your pictures like that is the fact that you get a detailed picture of the thing you decided to sketch out. Like there's no ambiguity about the thing you just drew. Like, there it is. You see all of it and all of the details within. Like, that, there it is.
Yeah.
And that's all of it.
Yeah, and I've actually started marking, like, I couldn't even tell you the size of the sketch pad that I have now. I just mark certain areas of where I think things would go.
Block things out a little bit.
And before I would start with, like, trying to get the face shape, outlining it to make it perfect. And it just wasn't working. So now I start out with lips, and then I work to the nose, and then I get to my eyes, my big eyes, because I love them. And then I shape the face around the eyes and just the other body parts.
And you
then
just,
I can get
you
an
just
idea.
work out from there.
Yeah, because I've noticed when I start off, outlining the head and everything, it just turns out worse.
Like, you're not satisfied with fitting the things
Yeah.
into the shape versus working from the inside out.
Right. I'm like, that doesn't look right.
Something about this.
It's just erase. So yeah, I finally stopped putting myself in denial, and I'm like, I obviously have to start somewhere else other than here.
Like, that workflow is not beneficial for me.
And it's happy. Like, I'm happier doing it. And I love it.
So, do you have any external influences that may or may not appear in your work? I know we mentioned the Tim Burton-esque-ness of your stuff, but but he may or may not be an influence on you, and that could just be coincidence.
No, he really is. I've always liked his art. I'm the geek who watches at the end of the movie of Nightmare Before Christmas. There's like an extra 30-40 minutes of them making it in the cartoon.
Yep.
They have his one short film, Vincent. So if you actually really paid attention, and I can watch that all the time, and I'm just like, Colby, see how he moves his hand this way and then this way? I don't know. I just always liked it. That was my biggest influence, I guess.
The granularity of stop motion animation, like the tediousness of it, demands so much attention, and I really enjoy the dedication it takes to make that a thing. Like, oh yeah, that 30 seconds of imagery on your screen was like 3 weeks of somebody moving an armature.
2 fingers,
yeah. Like, every single motion of every single digit of all of these characters in each scene was all individually moved by someone's hand. Like, and then they took a picture, and then they did it again a little more and a little more.
I respect those people. I would have smashed everything by the time.
And that's not even talking about the hundreds of facial models and hand models and all the things that need to be interchanged before you get the shot. It's absolutely ridiculous the amount of crafting that goes into making scenes like that.
Yeah. And I'll be honest with you, I never really had like a big influencer, or I wasn't really like crazy into art, and I couldn't tell you, who do you like, Van Gogh or Monet? I remember getting asked that question by someone in Ben's class or Ben's sessions, and I just like, how pretentious was that question?
It's like, how do I make this person feel like a fool for asking me that?
And I'm just looking at him, and I'm just like, why would you ask that? He was also the person who brought the giant box of Twixes. I don't know if you remember that.
No, I don't remember that.
Millions. Anyways, so I never really had any kind of go-to person, and to be honest, the closest people that I am to that came out of that studio are really just kind of like my inspiration. I can look at your work and be like, oh, that's cool. I can look at, Lola's work and be like, oh, I like that. And
she's gonna get on here at some point, because I've got Jared on here. He was episode 2, but Lola has so far eluded me. But she's on the docket, and she knows it.
Yeah,
she knows it.
Ethan, he's also inspired me with
that piece of art. For our listeners, we're looking at a piece of art on the wall in my living room right now. Yeah, I know. It's on Ethan's Instagram at Ebo Draws, and it's a wizard-looking guy in a cloak with a staff, and a dog walking through a mushroom forest under a very, very starry night sky.
I love it.
And I've always been a really big fan of his work in this style where he has just like this lone journeyman wizard just like crossing these vast landscapes, whatever.
Where are you going, wizard?
Yes.
I don't want to know, but where
But I need to know.
Don't tell me, but tell me.
But when he started drawing these giant mushroom trees, I was just like, oh, God, I need some of this in my life because it, you know, giant mushrooms for some reason really entertained me. And then I saw this one day and I was like, if you don't let me fucking buy that, I'm going to I'm going to go crazy. So we traded some art, I think, and then I ended up with that, and I can't fuss. It is proudly displayed in my living room on top of another. Mushrooms. You know what? That piece is really kind of funny, the log piece there, because I found it in the house I lived in before I moved here.
Yeah.
And there's barely a signature on it. It says Kaufman, but I have no clue. It was just in the garage, and I was just like, these little Liberty Cap mushrooms look great, and I'm going to hang them in my house, so I did.
That's what you just say, but like, yeah, I know a guy.
I'm going to say that next time.
Yes.
I know a guy.
Do this.
Because they totally...
I don't know if you know this guy, but I have a Kaufman.
Because they totally look like psilocybin mushrooms in the fact that they look like Liberty Caps. And I was just like, oh, man, look at these nice, trippy little Cyrillus mushrooms on this piece of wood. And yeah.
You just want to eat them.
They do look tasty. But they're also wood burnt and then painted. So there's some multimedia-ness there, and I really enjoy it. And it's signed by the person named Kaufman. I just really wish I could track them down and thank them for leaving that in the garage. You can crank that. Microphone stand difficulties here. Yeah, crank it. Don't act like you're going to break it. Just crank the shit out of it.
I'm going to crank you so hard.
Crank it.
Yeah, but not to be so cheesy or whatever, because I'm not, like, going back to, like, this big... I've been an artist since birth. I don't even think I'm an artist. I just love doing art. And everybody there has inspired me in some kind of way, especially Ben. But that's kind of where I pick up on, just kind of like, oh, I like what they're doing. I like what they're doing. And then I just turn it into my own, and it's not, you can't see anybody's work in it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just kind of, I depict it like, oh, this is something probably Thomas would do, but it's.
But it doesn't look like you directly appropriated it from. Yeah. So that's why I asked that question in the way that I do, because people can have influences, but they don't necessarily seem distilled into their output.
Yeah.
So I have a lot of influences that crank it.
Don't crank this bitch. Okay.
Crank it again.
We're cranking it.
But it doesn't. You know, some of them come through my artwork and some of them don't. Like this piece here, for example, I'm hugely influenced by 40s to early 70s automotive artwork in like all of its forms, because I'm a huge car person. So pinstriping and gold leafing and, you know, crazy 70s psychedelic lowrider, all that kind of stuff really is just in my head all the time. But you can't necessarily tell that by the breadth of the creative output that I have. Right. But, you know, this piece here, for example, looks very pinstripey, so one could assume that I enjoy pinstriping as an influence, which I do, and it's something I practice. But that is like me half-ass attempting enamel paint pinstriping with acrylics. That's the mix of my automotive inspirations and my need for
of things
of circular geometric outputs.
Yeah, I have a piece of your art in my house, actually.
And I'm so very happy about that.
Yes. My goal, and I've told you this before, was the people that we were close to in the group, I want one piece of art from each of them in my house. And because I had just bought the house. And I'm like, I want everybody's work. I want something. I don't care what it is. It could be the middle finger. I could give a shit less. As long as you draw it.
Right. If it's your piece.
If it's yours, I want it. And
yeah, if Jared would actually print some of his art, I would have some.
Jared actually drew me an okapi.
How sweet of him. He actually did an animal.
He did an animal in a forest.
Of course he did.
Of course you did, Jared. I know you're listening. I thought it was the sweetest thing ever because he was like, "Hey, you want to come up and see blah blah blah?" And I was like, "Yeah, let's see what you do. I don't care." And I just remember being up there, and he was just going to town on his computer and his keyboard, and he's like, "Well, what's your favorite animal?" And I was like, "An okapi." He's like, "What
The fuck is that?
The fuck is an okapi?" So I showed him, and there it was.
Mm-hmm.
I have a picture of it somewhere, but I would really have to dig for days, and that just takes up my time, Thomas. And
It's like searching through the internet for that
just,
PDF.
I can't. It's like, gotta find that PDF now, and then the table of contents.
Yeah, I do really enjoy Jared's art, and I make sure to tell him that on occasion because he deserves hearing it.
Yeah.
And along with all of my other creative friends, they deserve to hear that goodness.
That's good, though. I honestly shit on my art probably every day of my life.
Well, it's not like neither of us have the problem that we're our own harshest critic, every day when we wake up.
What? Yeah.
Don't even have to touch a pencil to the page yet, and you're just like, you're shit.
Right? You just wake up and be like, you can fuck off today, Shelley. All right.
Yeah. And then
You're
it's just
right.
like, all right, well, I'm going to go draw something now and hate myself less, or at least try to.
Gonna go jump in the shower. That's okay with you. Type of shit. Yeah. Like I said, I'm inspired by a lot of Knoxville artists that I've met that, again, cheesy as it sounds, some of them actually mean a lot to me. And when Ben left, that was probably
Shot to the heart.
It was the worst thing that could have happened to me.
Well, we did have a really nice little social circle going there.
It sucked because I started out going there with, like, knowing no one. And then by the time he left, it was like, I have...
Oh, no, these 12 people, I won't socialize with them regularly anymore.
And it went lower, it went to, like, maybe 7 of us that would actually...
Like, get together and do things socially after that, yeah.
Yeah, and that broke me for a second, and then I just stopped, and...
I think I got more jealous than anything because his ass went back to New Zealand, and I've
Asshole.
never been. I was just like, fuck, I want to go.
Yeah, Ben, I know you can hear me now.
Yeah, Mr. Bionic Ears, man.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't told him that I started this podcast yet because I'm not active on Twitter the way he is active on Twitter. So I'm gonna have to write him a strongly worded letter. And,
No, you record a strongly. Okay. I know we're talking about art and Ben's art.
Yeah.
So when he got his cochlear
the implants,
yeah, I was like, me being the dumbass, I'm like, I'm gonna call you right when it's done. That's not how it works. I was just excited. I know that's not how it works.
But you were excited.
And after like 6 or 7 months after like his therapy and everything, he like not tweeted, but he messaged me through Twitter because
that's what he uses right now.
That's the platform he's at right now, and
because he fled Instagram for some reason.
I have no. He just it's Ben. Who the fuck knows?
Yep.
And he's like, send me a voice message. I can
hear you now
because I always kept up with them. I'm like, hey, how is it this week or how is it that week? And he's like, I finally heard Quinn yelling, and he's like, I wish I never got these. And it was like, all right.
He told me he got those for the sole reason he knew when to yell Freebird at a concert.
Oh my God.
That's the kind of asshole this man is.
I remember asking him, I'm like, what is it like? He's like, oh, I've just been listening to Smash Mouth and Nirvana all day. And I'm like,
my dude, Smash Mouth is a guilty pleasure of mine. I ain't gonna lie. I love some fucking Smash Mouth.
I was like, I love you. He asked me to like actually send him a voice video message, whatever. And it took me 2 weeks to get the courage to send it to him.
Oh, Shelley.
It's okay. Let him ask y'all to send a voice.
He don't ask me shit.
Okay. Well, if you talk to him enough and he asks you to do some crazy shit like that, you get nervous because you're like, this guy has never heard me in the 3 years I've known him.
You know, you're right. I didn't think about that.
Exactly.
This is probably the first time he heard your actual voice.
It's like, oh my God, so cheesy. This artist inspired you to do more and push your limits, and he can hear now. You asshole, don't fucking ask me to talk to you. So it's like, it was nerve-wracking. It seriously took me like 2 weeks. And Kobe was always like, did you send that message? I'm like, no.
Every other night, just like, no, I ain't, not yet.
And then finally I did, and he's like, oh. He goes, you have a nice voice. I'm like, shut the front door. So I had this thing with Ibu Draws on Instagram, that I was going to try to practice like a real Latina Chola straight out of LA kind of accent. So when the first time he heard me, that's what I was going to sound like. It didn't work out as well.
Now, how confidently were you attempting this as someone from Illinois? I need to know, like, how, like...
It was bad. It was bad. It sounded like I was from the Bronx. / I needed speech therapy, and it just didn't work out. So Ben had to actually hear me talk, and that was nerve-wracking. And any of you Ben originals, please talk to him, so I'm not the only one.
I'll chat him up every now and again. Just
no, you type him up. You type.
Yeah.
You don't talk him
if we're talking semantics, I do communicate with him on a regular basis, but I do communicate with the man, and I'm thankful for whatever input he chooses to give me. Like
I love it.
The compliments I've received from him have been held as close to my heart as most other compliments from other artists. Like,
I will show you a Twitter message.
Considering that he is a legit artistic professional,
my God,
I hold his opinion highly, and I am very thankful.
Wait, I gotta interrupt you.
All right,
Boom, bitch.
Let's hear it.
He said hi, Thomas.
Ethan wrote back. Okay.
He said hi, Thomas.
So, just a little backstory for our podcast listeners. Before we hit record on this wonderful little podcast party here, we shot a message to our mutual friend Ethan, a.k.a. Ebo Draws on Instagram, and told him that he should join us, and applied a generous amount of peer pressure, and he still hasn't joined us. So, color me deeply disappointed.
I'm crying right now, actually.
Tears, I see them.
Tears, they're just
streaming from her face.
Panda tears.
Yes, panda tears.
No, and like I said, as cheesy as it sounds, never really like looked up to any particular artist until I met Ben, because I was really the only like real artist I ever met or actually looked at his work. And if you ever been to his dungeon, he had piles and piles and piles of sketchbooks.
Oh yeah.
And I would just go through all of them, and I'm just like, oh.
Because they're gold. Like, I know he won't admit it, but
it's just,
for someone like you and I to dig through the piles of his quote unquote trash or sketches or whatever he would refer to them as, it's aspirational as well as inspirational to see the outputs of someone in that context. It gives a person like myself I wouldn't say a goal, but something. It lets me know that is possible and that I can do it, and that to reach that station in life is not unachievable, which is really nice.
And yeah, sorry for being so stupid
about
it, because I never, this being like your art podcast, it's just that's who it was for me. And I've sent him my recent drawings, and I have it in front of me. He's like, I love it. This is beautiful piece. Like, you're getting so much better. Look at that line work. He's like, you're getting really confident. Like, I'm reading these to you from.
And that's one of the things he told me. Getting into the depths of the life drawing sessions that we would have. He's like, hey, you don't look like you don't know what you're doing anymore. And I'm just like, yay, I've been doing this for 3 months.
So yeah, the last 5 or 6 post drawings I've also sent to Ben, and there was nothing but like positive feedback from him, and I could almost be in tears. And when he called one of them like super beautiful, I about died. I go, this is my moment.
I'm in the spotlight.
I did it.
I also think that he is really good at giving constructive criticism in a way that also sounds like a damn compliment.
It does that, and you know it, and you're just like, oh, thank you.
But you're like, I don't feel like shit for having been told that. How? Like,
definitely.
Yeah, he's a glorious artist and human being. I'm just mad at him because I'm jealous.
We're all
because
mad
I'm
at
not
him.
in New Zealand right now.
But yeah, I want to go to New Zealand.
Hang out on beaches with no COVID.
Naked. I said it, Ben.
Yeah, Ben hangs out on beaches naked. We all know it. He talks about it. He can't deny it.
He does on Twitter.
Yeah, he does.
But yeah, that's where my art inspiration comes from. It's always been there. I've always had it. My dad, like I said, he can draw amazing, and so can my brother.
So your inspirations have always been close at hand.
To that, yeah. And I remember when I was drawing my little homies, my cholos, that I wanted to be just as good as them, and I never thought I was. And I don't know, it kind of just put me in one of those, I'm never going to be like, draw like my dad. Or
like you've gated yourself into a set of expectations.
Exactly. I'm like, I might as well just not even do it. So that was kind of one of the things. And then moving to Knoxville actually got me really inspired to.
Is that because you were just uncomfortable in general in some degree, just being here, and you found something that you were comfortable doing while you were here? Or
yeah, I mean, had I tried this back in Illinois, I would feel, I don't know, it wouldn't be something that I would talk about. That's, you know what I mean? I'm like, what are you doing on Wednesdays, Shelley? Nothing. Doing nothing.
You know,
and you know what I mean?
Yeah, because I've told people, you know, hey, I'm going to go to life drawing, and they're like, haha, you going to draw naked people? And I'm just like, well, yes. And they say, oh, okay, well, yeah. It's one of those things where that, you know, I don't feel as if drawing nude models or life drawing in general is as talked about comfortably, openly in public as it is as a unifying or universal experience in art. Life drawing in the context of art, I feel like, is a very wide-reaching thing that a lot of people experience, like in college, or just something they've done once or twice, or something they do weekly. You know, like it spans the gamut of artistic expression and experience for a lot of people. Like that might not be something you do in your own time for your artistic output. Like my case, I do it to challenge myself because drawing the human form is terribly difficult, and I can draw.
It sucks.
I can do pinstripe geometric mandalas all day and, you know, not have to think about it too hard.
Right.
But, you know, when I sit down and do this, and then I tell people I sit down and do this, the reaction I get from people telling them I sit down for 2 hours and draw a naked person,
it just blows their mind.
The gamut of reactions a person can get when that statement comes out of their mouth is way more fun to me than it should be.
And it is. When I tell people back home, you know, they're just like, that's why.
Yeah, why?
Why do you do that?
And it's
weird. I'm
then,
not weird.
The question too, like, are they all women? Do you ever draw dudes? Is that weird? And I'm just like, listen, the most fun I've ever had at a drawing session was like a 75-year-old man, and it was great. And they're just like, oh, what? Gross. And I'm just like, listen. The model, this guy, he was super sweet. He brought his own props. Like, he was super happy to be there and be drawn. And I'm just like, you can't want more than that from a model. Like, it's great.
That's like the one thing I hate about when you mention live figure drawing. People just automatically assume like you're there to get a lady boner, and that's what you're there for.
There's a weird.
I'm really only here for the dongs and the boobs.
There's a weird polarization that happens when you say that statement.
I'm here for the dongs and the boobs.
It's like I'm here to draw the dongs, but no, I'm here to draw everything. But it's a polarizing statement if you say it to someone that isn't familiar with that type of experience in an artistic context. And not that that's a bad thing. It's just that's something that most people have never exposed themselves to, so they don't understand. And, it's one of those things that I've done to push myself, specifically to push myself, not just, oh, hey, this is a thing to go do. Like, I have a specific goal of doing something that I find difficult for myself to go and practice that difficult thing, because me pushing myself in that manner is a beneficial activity across the board.
Correct.
Because I push myself, and because to some degree it's uncomfortable, I better myself as a whole, as an artist, as a creative person who makes things. It's just an enriching experience for someone that likes being creative.
It really is, especially for someone who has always enjoyed doing art. I've always loved to draw. I've always doodled on paper at school or doodled at work or on a post-it note, and then to actually walk into something, into live drawing was...
And that's a dedicated purpose for the group.
Yes,
this is the activity that we're doing.
That was big for me, and that made living here so much easier. So, and it pushed me to actually do art. Like, hey, remember you were cool in 6th grade and drew your cool little figurines? Now you can do it for real.
Now you get to draw real people.
Yeah.
With other people drawing the same real person.
Exactly.
Hey.
Like Colby, he was, at first, he's like, you're just drawing naked chicks. Dudes get boners. I'm like, not really.
I mean, yes, they're naked, but that's totally not the point. Like,
I'm not looking to the guy to the left or right of me, and they're just like stroking off.
Right.
They're literally just drawing. And then I brought Colby. Remember, I started bringing Colby.
Yeah. He came, and he was mildly uncomfortable for the first 20 minutes every day.
I think the first time I took Colby to live drawing, he sat behind the wall and didn't come out.
Aww.
And I was like, oh my God, what?
This is not the point.
And then the second time I took him, he actually went out there and drew. Colby couldn't draw a stick figure.
But he tried.
To save his life. But when I saw some of his drawings, I'm like...
And this is why we're here.
I didn't think you could do that. He's like, I didn't think I could do that. And then he saw it in a different perspective. So I hate bringing it back there to when people say, you do live drawing? Weird. Dudes are there. You're there for... I'm like, no.
It's honestly, to me, the parallel, like, you go to a concert, why are you there? You're there to see the music. You and everybody else are there for the same reason, to do that one thing, and everybody's super happy to be there.
And that's like the worst thing. I just hate that. I hate it.
Yeah, it's only polarizing because more people don't know. And if more people knew how cool it was, it wouldn't be an issue. And whether they think it's cool or not, just knowing is a big part of the stigma.
Right. Also with, the photography I do, when I'm not like any kind of professional in any kind of way, but I will go do pictures for a friend, and once coworkers or just people outside of knowing what I take pictures of, they're, hey, I'm having a wedding, or hey, can you do family photos, or hey, can you do this? And I'm like, nope. And I really do. I'm like, yeah, I take pictures, but they're not.
But it's for me.
I do not do graduation, wedding, family photos.
None of that cliche shit.
No. And I tell them too. I say it's fetish. I don't say exactly what it is. I'm like, it's fetish photography. It's for them. It's their own thing, and I personally love it. If I was going to really go into it, that would be the only
That's
way.
that's the niche of photography
Yes,
you would
it's
happily fall into.
yeah, BDSM fetish photography. I don't think I would ever do anything else.
So, how did you stumble across your enjoyment of this particular action in this context? Like, how did you discover that you really enjoy taking pictures of this? Is that a thing you want to answer?
Yeah, no, I'm perfectly fine. It's like secretly, like deep down, I've always like, oh, I wonder what that's like, or kind of in that world, not so intense because there's so many different levels of BDSM that people really don't know about.
Yeah.
And like I said, deep down, I've always been into it. It's always kind of like I love Shelley, I love rope tying. I wish I could be that person, and I could never express it. And then when I came here, just meeting people through meeting people through meeting people, I was able to get in that world. And once I actually saw it, I was amazed because I was almost like sheltered from it. And when I did pictures of a particular person, I just fell in love with it. And she's amazing, and I could shoot her every day of my life.
So, excuse me for
with
being
the picture,
punny,
with the camera.
but this is where you found your lens into that world,
Yes.
and you now have found out that you really enjoy taking photographs of these particular activities
Exactly.
for these particular people.
Yes. And like some of my coworkers, you know, like I said, can you do my engagement photos? I'm like, I don't do that. And when I tell them, I'm like, these are really the only type of pictures I do. They're just like,
You get another polarized reaction.
like, oh, you're into that?
Why,
Like,
yes.
You like, I mean, do you do that stuff too? And I'm like, it's interesting to me. And I always tell everybody, I'm the background person. I go, whoever is getting the pictures or doing their own art of some type of BDSM, that's them in their world. I'm in my world with my camera.
Yeah.
I don't associate with that.
But you get to create the interplay between those two activities.
Exactly.
And then you return to the people doing the activities documentation of their activities in a manner that pleasures them.
Exactly.
And that's amazing.
And I'm the background person. That's what I like to do. That's what I want to take pictures of. My favorite thing to take pictures of is when the rope is untied from you and you have your indents.
Oh, yeah.
That is the most satisfying thing to actually feel, look, touch, and take pictures of.
Can you explain why that is?
I can. I've actually been tied several times. There's people out there who do it for, orgasmic reasons. Fine, whatever. I honestly see it as a meditation. Like once I'm like completely just tied so tightly, it just puts me in a headspace of like nothing is there. And I posted those pictures, I think, of my first suspension.
Yeah.
But then I took them down. I don't know. That was probably the highlight of being tied. And as my top was, untying me and everything, just that release, you just felt it. I wish I could describe it as much as I am right now, but just all that release just puts you in this happy high or headspace where you're just floating, and that's just how your body feels.
There's a rush there somehow.
There really is. You're just like, oh. Like, ah. And then, like, you just touch your own, like, indents, and you're just like, yes. Yes.
Ooh.
Ugh. No, and I take pictures of them, and people are like, why'd you take pictures of that? I'm like, look, like, into the grooves, like, in there. Like,
This is the thing that stays with you after you've done the thing.
This is what you went through. This is what we do. This is what they do. It's not something that has to be... I hate that it's so sexualized. I hate that.
In general, if you were to have a conversation with someone, it would be heavily sexualized.
They're like, ew, ew. And I'm like, I get tied, and that's nothing to do with...
Yeah,
it's meditation. It feels good. It calms me. It's like popping a Xanax. So it's like,
And some people find that just as relieving or just as necessary
Yeah.
to their heads, to the health of their headspace.
Exactly. It could be your happy, high, relaxing Xanax, or it could be the thing that gets you off and gets you going. There's a huge
There's a lot of space in between
Exactly.
the points of that spectrum. Yeah.
and so I like doing that photography. Shock effect, I guess.
Well, it is something that would polarize someone that doesn't know, and it being a subculture, quote unquote subculture, because there's millions of people that are into this. It's just not a broadly known and
Exactly.
general awareness of, the
There
United
isn't,
States.
and I hate that. I've gone on Twitter rants and just done like coworker rants of it. Like, you guys, it's not all just one.
Yeah.
So, yeah, the rope tying and taking pictures of rope, that type of art, I really enjoy. I don't think I'm as good as taking the photos, so I just don't. But as far as tying, I love it, and I like taking pictures of myself in the rope, and I don't post them, but maybe I'll be confident enough to throw one up there.
Well, maybe one day.
Maybe one day. The ladies or the gentlemen that let me, I do. Right now I'm really just focused on drawing. I'm in a weird place to where that's all I want to do right now.
It doesn't have to be weird. Why is it weird?
Well, it's not in a weird place. I guess
That's just
that's
where
just
you've channeled
where
your energy.
I'm at right now. Yeah, it's all my feelings are going into my drawings, and I just hope that someone could look at it and be like, "Oh fuck, I know.
I get it.
I know exactly what she's trying to draw there." And I know they always seem like sad and depressing, but that's just being real, And
Well, do you have any works in progress or bodies of work that you're building right now?
I have a big one coming,
Ooh.
but it's not.
Ooh.
I got a big one coming for you, Thomas. It's not. It's something way out of my realm.
How so? Is that just like scope, context, content? Like, if you care to explain,
I don't
please
know.
do.
It's a friend of mine back home. She wants a self-portrait of herself to give to her husband
Okay.
for, his birthday. And I was like, okay. I was like, send me some pictures so I can have reference photos and I can just go about my way. And I was like, do you want my style of drawing? Do you want more realistic? How do you want this? And she's like, I want you to do whatever with it. So I asked her, I'm like, are you comfortable enough to send me like boudoir type photos so I can do this is what I do.
This is the reference I need.
Like, this is the type of drawing. And she said she didn't feel comfortable with it. I said, okay. I go, just send me selfies, I guess, of yourself. She did, and I haven't even started it. I'm just staring. I've had these 2 pictures in my phone for 2 weeks, and I don't know where to begin.
So you're waiting on that like aha
I'm
moment.
like, I got it. And she keeps asking me about it too. She's like,
the external pressure.
She's like, how is that drawing going? And I'm like, it's not.
It's not yet.
But she keeps seeing like all my other posts, and I'm just like, what the fuck?
When you gonna work on my thing?
I have to gain that confidence. She wants something that I can't do, but I'm gonna do it because
It's just something you haven't done yet.
exactly. It's something I say I can't do, so I'm gonna do it. And I'm actually supposed to give it to her on Friday.
Was that a predetermined deadline? Is that the man's birthday?
No, his birthday's not till next week, but I was supposed to be flying into Illinois
Oh yeah, that's right. You're going home this weekend, right?
Thursday, and that's when
the transfer was supposed to happen.
happy birthday. Yeah, no.
Ethan bothering you? Yes. Just when he listens, because he does. We are talking shit, by the way.
He responded, talking shit, I hope.
Oh, yes. Very much so.
Yes.
I'm going to say it right now.
You say it.
So it's recorded. So when he listens, he knows that he cannot escape being on this podcast because I care about him and he's a creative person in my life, and there's no way that he can escape being on this podcast. So.
Yeah. Sorry.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen, Ethan.
And, if Herschel cares to join, he can join too.
Hi. Well, you're only in it for Herschel.
Well, I mean, Ethan's cool, but the dog is the pretty part.
Herschel and his paws.
That dog. That's one of the cutest dogs.
His mustache. His pooch stash.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah, this self-portrait.
The self-portrait.
And it's like one of those selfies where you're like,
So
lips out and just hair perfect.
Is it the classic duck face shenanigans?
Yes. And like her hair is parted to the side, and I'm just.
So you took this project on because you care about the person and not the project itself.
Exactly. But I also thought about I'm gonna try it. Like,
I mean, you might as well.
See where the fuck this goes.
Because pushing yourself is never really a bad thing.
Yeah.
Especially if it's something you're mildly uncomfortable about.
Exactly. And I told her, my drawings are not exactly self-portrait. It's going to look exactly like you. I draw my own style.
It'll be you distilled through this.
But not.
Right.
And she's okay with that, so. In my head, I have the idea, but as far as
but right here,
putting it through my fingertips and on the paper, no, not so much.
Did you settle on a hard deadline, or you have to do the thing? You did, didn't you? I see your face right now. You did. You totally did.
It was supposed to be done this week, and here I am being the shitty person. Like, don't ask me to do self-portraits, people. You want a Shelley version of yourself, I will do that instantly. Telling me to do a drawing of exactly what you look like is not something I can pull off.
That's a way to not get that done in a timely manner.
No. I've had like a month's notice. And it's not me, but I'm going to do it.
I don't find myself in that, being cornered into that very often, because most of the people that see my artwork understand that I really don't execute the human form that often. So I guess it kind of eliminates those questions.
Yeah, no, but I would think that I would be in the safe zone with that as well.
I mean, you draw the human form a lot.
Yeah, but it's more.
It's stylized in your manner. Like it's not I'm drawing the human form. It's like I'm drawing a person that is in my style.
Yeah, and I don't like it. Like I recently got asked to draw someone's dog.
I've done one pet portrait in my entire life.
Well, you can do this one, and we'll say it's from me. But sign it.
We'll talk about that off microphone. Because I would have no problems with that.
She sees my drawings, and it's a coworker, and she follows me on Instagram. Don't care.
You got to quit that.
Nope. My shit's out there. I don't care. Like this is my life outside of work.
Right.
But she likes them all, and then out of the blue, she's like, "Do you think you can draw my dog for me?" And I was like,
"Have any of these people look like dogs?"
I'm just like, I can try. But when this person is your boss, you kind of just have to be like...
I would have told them no, just right off the bat.
I couldn't.
Oh, that's a shame.
I couldn't.
I understand why, though.
I mean, it's not just because she's my boss. Like, we've hung out outside of work, tequila shots and just having fun. But
right.
At the same time, that was just like why would you ask me that?
Like, you know I don't do dogs.
Why do you gotta do that to me?
Put you on the spot like that.
She said I don't have a. She says I don't have a time limit, so.
So you'll get to it when you get to it, if you feel like you get to it.
It could be the rest of my life. Lay it next to her reserved seat at my fucking funeral.
The dog portrait I did was for one of my boss's dogs in 2013. His dog passed away, and I just decided, he asked me, legitimately, it's like, hey, can you paint this picture of my dog? He had one really good picture of his dog.
I have a photo, yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, yeah, I can totally try to recreate that, and I make no promises. So I did the dog really well, and the background sucks. So, I'll be damned if I do, damned if I don't. But, I know the guy, he lives here, he's a really good friend of mine outside of our professional relationship, and he was very thankful that I even attempted the portrait. So he would have been happy with almost anything that I've given him, but I really tried. And that's the one dog portrait I've done, and it's probably the only one I'll ever do.
Can you draw my dog Pepper, please?
You know what the worst part was? The jowls. Like, the dog's mouth it's so difficult. And it's not as difficult as drawing a human, but I'll be damned if it wasn't close. It was very difficult. And this dog had some very fleshy jowls. And I was just like, God dang it. All the wrinkles.
Though.
All the wrinkles. Like,
just,
all the texture and all the
the
wrinkles.
jowls and then hands.
Shelley, you've seen my figure drawings. You know why I stop at the wrists and ankles. You know why I stop.
Have you ever noticed in my, older ones, they just kind of come out in lines? They look like little diamonds.
Come from the wrist, and there's just like two lines.
Oh, there's diamonds. But now I'm actually trying, and I'm not getting any better. But at least I'm throwing my hands out there.
Right, you're throwing your hands out there.
Dipping my hands into hands.
I don't know why this to be the case in my artistic expression, but every now and again I'll sit down and try to draw something that isn't inside my normal realm of what I create, and it comes out great. And I'm just like, hell yeah, go me. This is awesome. Because it's not often I can sit and look at something and then draw it and they're comparable. So I've done this a few times in my life, and I'm like, hey, these are great. And then I sit down to purposefully do it, and it just goes all to shit. Yeah. So I'm just like, oh, God, I'm an asshole.
That's how it works. I completely understand. I could be on my lunch break with my little notebook and just sketching away.
And be super happy with something.
Just be like, whatever. And I'm like, oh, shit. All right.
I did that good. Damn. Whoops.
Okay. And then you go home, like I said, it comes to mind, and you have that idea, and then you're just sitting there at your desk. Where the fuck do I start? It's there. Then once you do it, you're just disappointed and erase everything 700 times.
You end up with a gray piece of 8.5 by 11 paper.
Yeah, a ripped up, torn up piece of paper. I'll have to take a picture of.
I'm definitely one of the people that has the overflowing trash can of crumpled up pieces of paper in the corner. Yes. It's just draw two lines. Fuck this, and crumple it up and throw it in the corner.
I'll have to send you a picture of my most recent "You Suck."
Please do.
With the date on it.
Please do.
That's where I should just do a separate art, thing with that. Just all the why do you suck drawings I do with all the X's and scratch marks on it. And
I need to make a separate account for all the shit I don't want to post here.
Exactly. Let me show you my shit stuff, and then you can see my actual good stuff.
And the stuff I want you to see.
Yeah. A big thing that I was actually thinking about, it's not really arty, it is arty because that's what my Instagram really is I've been thinking about changing my name, my Instagram.
Your handle?
Yeah.
Do it.
And I just can't seem to type it out.
Do it.
I can't. Inspire me, everybody. No, I'm such a big person with OCD, and I type it out, and before
you look at it,
and before I press done, I'm just like, no, I can't do this. My account will get deleted if I do this. So it's really weird. And I actually again, I incorporate that a lot in my art.
Well, I'll tell you this in hopes to spur you into this action that I have a really good friend of mine that I grew up with who is artistically inclined in the same manner. And one of the Instagrams that he runs is called Things Not Drawn Well.
Ooh.
And I love him for being so honest in the title of his account because it's just it's the reflection of how he feels about the output that goes into this particular outlet. And I tell him that he's an asshole and I love him and he should keep drawing and that I love the things that he puts out. But, things not drawn well is the reflection of his point of view on his outputs most of the time. And,
Nice.
And I really enjoy his style. Jake Seals. And
Jake Seals.
yeah, exactly. I really enjoy his style, and I just wish all the best for his creative output because
that's awesome.
He's very talented and
He beat me
needs
to the
hear
punch. Dang it.
Things not drawn well _2.
Right? Because I said so.
But I wish for you all the energy and positive effort into changing this name. You got this.
I will not. I'll do a drawing about it.
Okay, fine.
I'll do a drawing about it. Like I said, I draw about my feels. And sorry they're so dark. Whoever sees them, that's just how it is. Mental illness is real. So.
Yeah, but that doesn't dominate your entirety as a person. Like, I've seen you smile and laugh and go about and be happy plenty of times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's one of the reasons why I like to channel it through there. Because I don't have to go out there and sit with, hey, Thomas, you want to hang out? Let me tell you about this. Like an Eeyore, who is amazing.
Oh, poo.
Oh, Thomas. So I like expressing it that way because it's really telling someone how you feel without actually telling them how you feel. And that's what I want. I want someone to look at it and just be like, I get it. And I actually had one person do that with the one with the two girls.
So success.
So
like,
yeah,
win.
She's broken and the other friend is putting her back together. And I had someone say, like, I relate to this. Like, I get it. And that's what I'm just trying to throw out there. And so far, with the one success, I am hoping it reaches out more that way and that it's okay. Because I've noticed a lot. I don't know if you have, and it's annoying as fuck that people, like the younger generation, like glorify depression or like mental illness. And I've seen it where, men or women, they're attracted to that. It's like, oh, I like it when she's dark. And so they intentionally just be like dark. And I'm like, it's not a trend, don't do it. It's like a slap in the face to like actual people who suffer from such things. And it just annoys the hell out of me. I don't know if you've seen it, but maybe you'll start paying more attention to it.
I've definitely seen it be glorified or emphasized in some way, in a way that isn't particularly representative of the actuality of it. Like it's presented in a way that doesn't reflect the reality of the situation.
Exactly.
And that's unhealthy in a way that it presents unrealistic expectations, and that's not always the best thing.
Right. And yeah, I just don't like it. If they channeled it a different way, awesome. If that's how you channel it and I just don't know it, that's also fine. But I know there's actually true blue people out there who, if I'm a wreck, they'll like me better.
Yeah, there are people out there like that, for sure.
That's not going to happen, but yes. And I am smiley and I am giggly. It's because of you.
Oh.
It's because of you, Tomas. Tomas.
I will say that in these scenarios, limited so far that they are, that I have greatly enjoyed sitting down with my friends and other creatives and having a conversation centric to art and expressing ourselves about art that isn't necessarily art itself, even though some people would call podcasting an artistic output. Like I don't feel like me doing this is an artistic output. It's more the fact that I enjoy sitting and talking to creative people in my life about their creativity to be extremely entertaining.
Yes.
And very enlightening into the inner workings of why this person does whatever it is that they do.
And I love it.
Now, I know you pretty well, and that's why we're sitting here talking.
Yes.
And this has still been a fun and enlightening conversation.
Yes.
And I've still learned things about my friend here that I didn't know before we sat down in this conversation.
Did you know that I was extremely embarrassed about the art show we had at downtown, not with Ethan, just with my stuff.
The one in Cork or whatever, the wine store.
And wine, like,
yeah.
I was so hyped up to do it, and I was so excited to like.
That Ted Bundy piece is still killer though. I don't want to hear it. I love it.
Still
love
it. Killer. It is open for grabs. Still being a creep in my closet.
You should put it in a window.
You fucking creep. I had it in the window, remember? And you gave me the suggestion of like just coloring his eyes.
Yeah.
And I still look at Ted when I open like my closet where my towels are at. And I'm like, you deserve blue eyes, Ted. And
he's an attractive dude. Despite all of his drawbacks, he's a good-looking dude.
He was.
I'll be damned. A lot of people know that about Ted Bundy, that he's a good-looking dude.
Uncle Ted. That was the name of the piece.
And the fact that you, the emphasis on everything being black and white is I don't want to say a disservice to the man's character, but it is contrasting in a way similar to how his self is a contrast to what he does and how he presents himself. And I think that juxtaposition is really entertaining. And the splash of color for his eyes is just enough of a humanization to this portrait to where you're just like, oh man, that guy's really like, he looks very nice and And then you're like, oh, that's Ted Bundy. And you're just like, fuck.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Yeah. No,
shit.
I was actually very disappointed in myself and embarrassed. I was extremely proud of Ethan. He had so many great pieces, so many compliments, and I was so proud of him. But for me, like on the inside, I was like screaming, like, why did I do this? Why did I push myself to do this? I drug my friend into it now. Like, this is like committed, and all my shit is shit. So I plan on putting my art up again after
all the COVID shenanigans.
All this, but now that I have for however long to think about it, I can actually like in my head visualize what I wanted and what I
will say I so look forward to my next art show because I really don't want to do one right now.
Yeah.
Like, I understand my desire to do one, and there are places for it to happen, and there are art shows and galleries that are safely showing things right now. Mm-hmm. And this ties into my question about the art scene and COVID and how it's all treating artists in Knoxville right now. But I just don't feel comfortable drawing people out of their homes to a communal space in public to look at my art. Not that I can't or I won't. It's just I don't feel comfortable about it, and until I do, I'm not gonna. So the best place to see my work is either in my home or on my Instagram, or some of the businesses around town that may or may not have some of my work hanging at the time.
Right.
And I'm perfectly comfortable with that. And I would very much rather you only be able to see it on your phone or on your computer until you can safely come out your damn house and not have to worry about catching some fatal respiratory illness.
Oh my God. Yeah, I feel that. I honestly, throwing my art out there, like in the downtown area, I do want, but at the same time, I just like that it's on, Instagram. I like that people can see it there, and that's it.
See it, and all of it, and everything you care to present there.
It's there. I don't have to pick certain pieces or the ones that I love the most, and then when I bring them, I'm like, I shouldn't have brought that one, except for Uncle Ted. Uncle Ted is welcome everywhere. But yeah, I like it, and especially with COVID, it gives me more time to organize in my head what I want to do, what direction I'm going, who do I want to reach out to put this stuff in?
Yeah.
'Cause
I feel like there's less expectations on artists in this realm right now because of how society's acting, and I don't mind it at all. Because if someone right now were to ask me, "When's your next art show and how many pieces are you bringing?" I would comfortably have no answers for them.
oh yeah,
Comfortably.
I couldn't do it. And it goes both ways for me. I mean, COVID is a very serious thing, and I get that, but I'm also like on the other side of it as well, where I'm still gonna go out. That's my like choosing and my risk, but other than that, I 100% feel on both ways, I guess, how people are. 'Cause that's just how I am. It's just like, oh, okay. Well,
The empathy runs deep in this context.
you know, it just, yeah. It's, I'm getting vaccinated, and you should too. I'm like, I'm not getting vaccinated, so.
Good for you, but
I've had that conversation, and just being in the line of work I am, and, you know, I always get stared down on.
Speaking of which, real quick, I normally ask people what their day job is and if they would like for art to be their main source of income. So if you care to answer that, would you please?
My day job is I actually work in hospice, and no
art as the day job?
No art as the day job, honestly. I really like doing it as a hobby. I've had people offer, they're like, how much for this or this? And I'm just like, take it. I don't care. I'm not in it for money. I'm not in it trying to become something big. I love doing it. I love that people love it, and I'm satisfied with that.
And your output for you.
Yes. So I'm sharing something in me, personal, with you guys out there without actually saying what it is. But no, I like my day job. It's just as depressing. Hospice.
Just as depressing.
Just motivation. No. So yeah, in my line of work, I always get encouraged, and I get that, but it's the people on my throat that get me. It's, you know, some people come up to me, and you don't have to put this in there, but
Oh, no, I don't edit this shit. No, it's all in
you
here.
could just, you know what? I'm getting a text. I gotta go. No,
Well, you know
kidding.
what? Answer the text. It's fine.
No. What I don't like, though, is I told, you know, someone, they're like, are you getting vaccinated? I was like, no, you're not getting the COVID vaccination? No. Well, why not? You're putting people at risk.
And then the stigma comes in.
And now I'm just getting angry on the inside. And I just respond with the same question, but in reverse. I'm like, you're getting the COVID vaccination?
And how does that flip them on their head?
Are you? Really? Are you going for the second one now?
You're going to get both of them?
Yeah. You get sick on the second one, I heard. No, they just stare at you like a deer in headlights. And I will wait in line with you if you want to go get it. I'll follow you straight up to the shot, 6 feet apart, and on my way. But don't
ask you to get the prick.
I'm not going to get it. I don't get the flu shot. I'm not going to get this shot. I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm not scared of someone telling me off.
Yeah, that's fair, right? Like whatever negative social interaction comes from that conversation.
Not scared of COVID. I'm not scared of telling someone off about them making me do something that I don't want to do. But yeah. And in the art world, I feel for people who put their stuff out in the galleries here in Knoxville, because I mean, I don't, but I liked going to to see art. And
First Fridays are a hell of a time. Oh my God, I miss them. They're so much fun.
I loved First Fridays. I just remember the group messages. Is anybody going to First Friday? Anybody going to First Friday?
Who's going to be where? Is anybody showing anything? Where are we meeting up for drinks? Like, yeah.
Yeah, there's been times where it's just been like 2 of us only, and then there's been times there's been like a group of us.
You know, all the normal people we would expect to see.
Exactly. The group chat.
Yeah.
Fucking love that thing. No one's on it anymore. And that's sad. So we need to get back into our art.
Yeah, we need to get back in our art group chat.
The Pigment Pushers.
Yeah, Pigment Pushers. I love that name, and I'm so happy I named that.
Know.
I'm not even going to lie.
I love it. There's someone on there who actually talks to me that is a mystery to everybody else.
Oh, no. Is that good or bad?
It's Steven, who I also think you should have on here.
I do want to talk to him. Steven, get your ass on the podcast.
Hi, Steven.
Yeah, I rather enjoy his body of work, and I enjoy the hair study that he showed.
Wasn't that?
That was a lot. Like, that was just visual texture, and I feel like that art was so good you could feel it by just looking at it.
I loved it, and yeah, that was one of the first shows I went to because I was right around the time I met Ben.
Yeah,
and I remember walking in there and be like, "Oh my god!"
My first art show, like legitimate thing, was like October 2017 in Ben's studio, and that was one of my first like legitimate month-long showings in Knoxville. Right. So shout out Ben for letting me host a lot of my mandalas and geometric stuff in there.
Nice. Oh, I would have seen it too had I known, because around that same time.
I mean, you probably did see it and just didn't know it was mine, which is fine.
Yeah. No, but, if I was to give a shout out to any people that need to come on here, obviously the obvious one.
Yeah, Ethan and Steven and Ben, if I could call Ben and get him on here, I'm gonna do it.
Oh, I would call him right now if I could.
Oh my God, it's the opposite side of the world.
No, I'm gonna record you talking to Ben and send it to him.
Okay, that's fine.
And then I'm gonna get nervous.
For me.
No, yeah, and I love the fact that you are going after all art forms. It doesn't matter what it is, and I have told Colby that, you know, his band people need to come on here and just kind of.
I would love to have the whole of Calora. Are they all local, or are they spread around?
They're not. They're not spread around. They're still very. I don't even think people really know about them, and that's why I'm like, get out there. And
well, if any or all of them want to be on the podcast, I will gladly have them.
I know the lead singer does. So if anybody wants to listen to Calora on Spotify, be my guest. I'm giving Thomas a CD. Awesome.
Which I'm sure you'll hear me talk about soon.
Yes. I did the shitty artwork on it.
Does it include a "Why do you suck"?
There probably is. Let me dig deep into my 50,000 notebooks or sketchbooks. But yeah, those would be my 3 people that I really think you should have. Definitely Steven, because he's an interesting person.
So I'm totally glad you beat me to my generally last question of the podcast. My last question is, who would you like to see in this format in the future? And you went ahead and happily answered that for me without me having to ask. So I really appreciate that.
Well, it's because I'm actually hanging out with Steven tomorrow.
Oh, well, then you're going to have to tell him all about it.
I am. Yeah, everybody, Pigment Pushers, he's around. I see him. I hang out with him.
I haven't seen him since he came here to the house to do some art stuff on the PlayStation with me. And
when was that? I don't know.
Oh God, it was last summer.
Nice.
Yeah, last spring, last summer, something like that.
He's such a mystery. So if you're gonna listen to this, Steven, you are a mystery.
Yeah, I'll have to tell him. I'll have to message him directly.
Yeah. You have
that
to.
we talked about him on the internet.
He's gonna freak out. I'll tell him tomorrow.
Please do.
Like I said, Steven and I will randomly hang out, and that's awesome.
Jared and I had a really good, I think it was the first Friday night out with Steven one night. We ended up at Sutry's telling each other stories over some beers, so that was a fun night.
He's an interesting guy.
Oh yeah, he's a character.
Listen.
I very much enjoy his creative outputs, and
yes.
He's quirky individual, but I
He
very much
really
enjoy him.
is. I can't describe him. And if it was going to be anybody first, it would definitely be Steven. Sorry, Ethan, but definitely Steven.
Well, Ethan knows he can't escape this shit. So
Stefan.
He-
I used to
he'll be
call him
fine.
Stefan when I first met him. He hated it.
has he grown to enjoy it?
No.
No.
So I still call him Stefan.
All right. Well, I think this is a good time to end it. We're at an hour and 34, and that's a few minutes longer than we normally go. But no, it's perfectly fine. I'm super happy about it. And I'm going to hit this outro button, and this is when we both hush after you tell everybody your Instagram handle if you wish.
Alrighty. I am at Shelley RM. That's it.
And
Plain and simple.
And that's your only social media outlet where you post artistic things?
Yes.
All
Shelley
right.
RM.
All right, so here's the outro button. Everybody, thank you for listening. That was the show. I hope you enjoyed. All the relevant social media and website links will be in the episode description for the featured artist today. And if you yourself or know an artist that you would like to be or see on the platform, shoot me an email. It'll be listed somewhere on here. I'll try to make it plainly evident for you. But thank you very much for listening, and I'll see you next time.